All right. So quantum light work. That's great. Quantum light work. Thank you for joining today live in class. Happy that you're here, that you decide to join and to participate in this experiment together. Really beautiful. So because everything else is totally uncertain, so at least these things then seem to be under my control. The rest is completely uncertain, which is really great. So today we will look at the idea of intelligence, whether it is artificial or not. Like, well, you have artificial coloring agents, like coloring for sweets, artificial this and that. It's mostly just the color. It doesn't add anything to it, just a different color. And is that with intelligence the same way? Like artificial intelligence, is that just a different color of intelligence? Is it in fact the same thing, or is there a reason why we get excited about it or not? Now in the Urtext of A Course in Miracles, we're actually using today's lesson partially. And also one expression about intelligence that I love to share, and that is interesting. It came to me just before we started here. And that idea is, I'm going to share it in a minute, but it's actually lovely. For the rest, so part of this meeting here is that we look at the idea of artificial intelligence as it is like coming to the surface these days, but for a very specific reason we look at it. And because what does it have to do with quantum in the first place? So why would it have any reference point to what we're actually, say, diving into anyway? What is the relationship between artificial intelligence and quantum physics? Well, that is not that there's a lot of videos about that. It is quite a new terrain, you could say, but I thought, like, let's tackle it right away. Let's dive right into it immediately, since it opens up opportunities to let go and to see it for what it is, and to see, like, okay, is this new, or is this, what is this actually? And why would we apply it to what we're, say, discovering here in the quantum light work? How well is it applicable to what is actually going on? What relevance does it have? What does it share the same purpose? Or so this cannot be say looked at without the, say, perspective that is being presented today in the daily lesson. It's like God is in everything I see. So what does that actually mean then? If God is in everything that I see, there should be no problem and no separation. If God is everything, then that should be all fine. Now, so we take a look at the lesson. But first I'd like to share this say expression about intelligence. In a certain direction right away. Let all those who overestimate human intelligence remember this: the ability to learn has no value. Excuse me. The ability to learn has no value when change of understanding is no longer necessary. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. So let all those who overestimate human intelligence remember this: the ability to learn has no value when change of understanding is no longer necessary. The eternally creative have nothing to learn. Now, there's a reason why this is put here. So let's try to discover that. Because this tells us about human intelligence. Like, especially if you overestimate human intelligence. Say the ability to learn stops when change of understanding is no longer necessary. So in other words, if you start to see, you could say, if you start to see, you don't have to change your understanding. Up to that point, that can still be totally helpful. And human intelligence is part of that. So this is just my, say, logical deduction of what is here. This is my concept about it. The ability to learn has no value when change of understanding is no longer necessary. When I come into an experience of the recognition of the alternative, then what would be the need of understanding or a change of understanding? So the eternally creative have nothing to learn. Now, who are the creative, eternally creative? I stop right here just to make sure that you can say, you actually can hear what this says. And that has to do with this. It's like, yeah, it's not really like ego inflating, but ego deflating, you could say. It's like what we're trying to do here, what we're actually exercising here, is still, you could say, consciousness-wise, kindergarten. It's okay, but it's still kindergarten, because what is it that we do? For one moment, we allow ourselves, our self-created image, to let go of that. For just a moment, we let go of that, of a self-created image that has no reality. We let that go, and if you do that, the experience of joy and sense of grace, completedness, joy, happiness is so incredibly overwhelming. And that in itself is just, in fact, tiptoeing into God's grace. That's kind of a nice, say, metaphor. It's like, so what we're doing here in our mind training, we train our minds, we try to change our understanding about everything that's going on. Like that keeps changing until it is not necessary anymore. Now, to put the human intelligence in perspective here, it is like the human intelligence is being used as a way to, say, support an idea of separation, to support an idea of conflict, of separate objects, of an objective reality. Separate parts, you can live in Los Angeles, I live in New York City, or wherever. We can be totally separate and have nothing to do with one another, is what we think. That's human intelligence, right? You can fly to the moon if you're lucky. It's quite a job already. So you can fly to Mars if you want, or maybe even if you sit still long enough, you can make it to Jupiter. Now, these are the, say, little planets on the outer arm of an incredible Milky Way, part of an incredible galaxy with plenty of billions of Milky Ways and galaxies altogether. And this is what so this is the importance, say, of human intelligence, that we can do certain things within the limitations that we have assigned to ourselves. Like we created a world with limitations, with difficulties, problems, so that we have a function to fulfill in trying to solve these, and using our intelligence to solve the problems on this, scale. It's actually fun to look at it like this. In the meantime, we say create a world with an increasing amount of chaos and say differences and severe conflict, you could say. It's like we use our intelligence to deal with that. So first we create problems and then we solve them. and up to any kind of level, you could really say. But it is three-dimensional. It is certainly, say, objective, because the idea to admit to an idea of connectedness and oneness would be the last thing that we do. We use our human intelligence to avoid that moment to happen. We do everything we can to solve our problems, to define our problems, to make, say, estimates about the future of our problems, the future of our planet, the future of our galaxy, the future of everything. We use our intelligence for that, just in case, like, we might come into that situation, which will never occur. So it's like, all right, yeah. So that we use that intelligence for this thing, right? For this denial that in fact we are. And if we step out of that for just a second, giving that up, we slide into an experience of connectedness and fulfillment that is so complete that we forget about this forever. It never happened. But the eternally creative, hey man, they're here. They extend forever. It does not waver, it does not change. It is an expansion of this incredible joy and happiness. That's all that is. So going back into our little bubble here of intelligence, going back into our little definition of humanhood and definition of littleness and the protection of it, which takes great inventivity and great intelligence to make that happen, because it's very unnatural. Into that, we start to discover an alternative. So this alternative is then letting this for one moment go and step into our, say, complete fulfillment and love, extension, connectedness, fulfillment, absolutely forever extending our beingness, you could say. So like I said, this is kindergarten, what we do here. So one more comparison is like one tiptoe into God's grace, you could say, would make us forget about this place and this world and this intelligence forever. And yeah, it's like, it's just one tiptoe, huh? So it's like you catch a glimpse of your beingness, and you would never have a doubt anymore that is the alternative. Yeah, it's not really an alternative at all. So it's with you, it's right here, and it's happening. And the only thing you have to do then is leave this for just a second, and that seems to be the hardest thing to do. That's why we're here. So this is, I'm putting it in perspective here a little bit. I mean, a little bit. I'm talking about tiptoeing into God's grace for just a second, or feel a drop of His well-pleasedness coming to you, receiving that into your heart. One drop of well-pleasedness will blow you away forever. But now we use our intelligence to stay right there, stay within our limitation, keep circling around, using the programs that are, say, available, and having great inventions to tackle our problems that we have self-defined and see ourselves as having. Okay, so far, so far the introduction to artificial intelligence. Now I imagine that there's a different intelligence too, separate next to this one, a parallel intelligence that we call artificial intelligence, that we made ourselves, putting all our great ideas into it. Very bright, beautiful ideas, like great ways to make it easier to tackle our problems. Now, we're going to ask some questions today that might put still like a totally different perspective on all of this. But I will not give it away immediately altogether. So let's start with the lesson of today. Oh my God, it always starts different than I expected. So God is in everything I see. The idea for today explains why you can see all purpose in everything. It explains why nothing is separate by itself or in itself. And it explains why nothing you see means anything. Wait. And it explains why nothing you see means anything. Is that logical here? The idea for today explains why you can see all purpose in everything. It explains why nothing is separate by itself or in itself, and it explains why nothing you see means anything. In fact, it explains every idea we have used so far, thus far. I'm never upset for the reason I think nothing I see means anything. My thoughts about things are just as meaningful as the things that I see, so they have no meaning. And this kind of thing. And all subsequent ones as well. It's like all the lessons that are gonna come up in the rest of the year are included in this as well. Wow. Today's idea is the whole basis for vision. God is in everything I see. So that's quite something. A table shares the purpose of the universe. And what shares the purpose of the universe shares the purpose of its creator. Try then today to begin to learn how to look on all things with love, appreciation, and open-mindedness. You do not see them now. Would you know what is in them? Nothing is as it appears to you. So you do not see them now. Would you know what is in them? Nothing is it as it appears to you. Its holy purpose stands beyond your little range. When vision has shown you the holiness that lights up the world, you will understand today's idea perfectly. And you will not understand how you could ever have found it difficult. Its holy purpose stands beyond your little range. When vision has shown you the holiness that lights up the world, you will understand today's idea perfectly, and you will not understand how you could ever have missed it, like how you could ever have found it difficult. God is in everything I see. Behind every image I have made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I've drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will united with the will of my Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever, and we who are part of him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. Behind every image I've made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I've drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will united with the will of God, the will of the Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever, and we who are part of him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. So, what I'm reading here is, say, part of the, some of the paragraphs of the lesson, and the review of this lesson. I always love to read the review because it's so beautifully compact and sheds another light on what the lesson is about. So behind every image that I have made, behind every idea of objectivity. So this is really like an incredible quantum lesson, you could say. Behind every image that I have made, and beyond all of that, God is still present. It's like it has nothing to do with that. Like if I stop at the point of objective reality, thinking that they're separate objects, that I'm this body walking around in time and space, I say there's work to do. I certainly don't see myself the way I truly am. And this is what I said in the beginning. It's like we use our intelligence, we use everything we can to stay in a bubble, you could say, to stay in a human frame of reference in which we say protect ourselves for comfort and safety in order to continue to exist in this limitation. Now, in your awakening, you bumped up against certain walls. There was a crack in this little definition. It didn't work any longer. It was glitching. It was opening up. It was suddenly started to shake and rattle a little bit, and it ripped open, and light came in into your dream. That is what happened. That's why you can listen to this and actually know what I'm talking about. Like there's no need any longer to say put all your energy in protecting this limitation and to defending it, or to see yourself as a separate object and defending your self-made identity and trying to maintain it as good as you can to prolongate your suffering. Like there's no need of that anymore, and you have discovered it. So there's light in your definition of yourself. The light came in. You kept a little space where the light could enter. Now this is exactly where the miracle happened, in which you start to see like there must be something else. Oh my God, this cannot be it. This doesn't make any sense. Like who didn't have that realization? Like this never made any sense to me. Like for moments it looked like okay, but it never totally made sense. So in that way it never made any sense at all. So knowing that it didn't make sense came as a recognition of that you know more. It is not limited any longer by this. Like this alternative was already speaking to you. Yeah, we said the other day, it's like your spiritual eye was literally awakening. You could actually see what you were doing, and you saw like this does not make sense. There must be something else. And with that idea, something happened. Something opened up in your consciousness. Light comes in and starts, say, literally, darkness disappears like more and more. The light is allowed in more and more places in your consciousness, and the darkness, you could say, is gone. The sense of separation, the sense of suffering, or the sense of protecting yourself in order to exist starts to dissipate. Like it literally starts to flow away. You see, it's like a useless war against yourself, and it does not make sense. Now, how is this related to quantum? Yeah, that's kind of obvious. You know, it's like your definition of your reality. Like you could say, like you formulated this matrix. Like if you see this as a hologram, you start to project your ideas on this surface area and see that as your life, as long as you think that is your life, like which is your existence. So you projected all these ideas outside of you, not knowing that it came from you, but starting to see that it didn't make sense. You could not really understand what was going on at all, but you were very busy in defending this because you weren't sure what would happen if you gave up this projection outside of you. So now, in learning to meditate, or say going within in order to have a different experience of yourself, or just maybe for allowing some relaxation, because being in this limited identity definition, you could say, is a very stressful job. It keeps you awake at night, because your mind is continuously running programs in order to save yourself or define yourself, because you don't even know what you are either. So that gives great uncertainty, but also very much like a sense of distress. Now that continues, like that changes in seeing that when this hologram, say, was literally like penetrated with light by maybe a Course in Miracles book that suddenly came your way, or maybe by listening to Joel Goldsmith that happened. So something cracked your hologram, you could say, and light entered into it, and you saw like, oh my God, what have I been doing? I've been actually, say, attacking my brother. I didn't want to do that. I have to forgive, my brother. I have to forgive myself in doing that. Like, what happened? What an incredible story I find myself in. Now, how can this change? And more you started to say, go within and become quiet and see that, well, I don't know what the next step is. It's like, I don't know what the next step is. I don't know how I'm getting out of this. Like, I don't seem to be able to do anything else than prolongate my suffering here. I really don't know what to do with that. So here's then, on a daily basis, a lesson coming to you where you actually start to see, like, it's images that you've made. This is your hologram. So now you actually hear it. It's written on paper. It's like, oh yes, my thoughts are images that I've made. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And nothing means anything. I have given it meaning. Oh yeah, that makes sense too. It's like, I really believed that it was valuable to me to protect it. But now when I see that this light entered in, I see the meaninglessness of it too. At times I suddenly see it like, yeah, no, there must be something else. This can't be it. So this story, say, evolves within this hologram of you. So in that sense, it has totally to do with quantum healing, light healing, because it is literally what is occurring. Now, bringing in new ideas like artificial intelligence, or which is not really a new idea in that sense, but we're going to take a look at that anyway, just to use it, not to say deny it, or not to negate it as if it doesn't exist, or like, no, it is there. Like, you hear about it everywhere, and it is here in this hologram. We invited an idea of artificial intelligence, and that's developing. People put in all their energy and see if they can make money by doing so, or who knows how you engage your mind in order to prolong your suffering, or to define yourself the same way as you have been doing. In the meantime, it is great to see what develops, and what I mean by that is what we're going to discover. So it's like I got 3, say, exposures. One is 2 minutes, one is 8 minutes, and one is 5 or something like this. So 3 little movies, YouTube videos that are actually telling you, this is IE, this is artificial intelligence, AI. This is, say, related to the quantum story. Is going to be a little bit difficult to listen to, but who knows what you pick up. It is like interesting to see what your mind does in recognition of what is being shared. So you apply your intelligence to actually hear what is being said on a conceptual scale within the definition of the hologram, you could say. Okay. I just love it. I don't know. It's like the interesting part of it is, to me too, is like we learn to solve very complex problems. It's like we learn to solve very complex problems. Yep. But we just say recognize that we actually should not solve our problems. Otherwise there will be other problems. It's like the problem will be solved if I don't try to solve it. And the problem is more identified as me. I am the problem in how I see myself. And that dissolves easily because the whole universe purpose is to do so. But anyway, so like I said, I'll be open-minded, looking at it. This just came up as a thought and a direction. So I'm sharing with you the next movie. I love it. I love to watch this and see, like, wow, it's kind of interesting to see this just as an idea about what you have been seeing happening in your dream. Like things have been changing a lot, but you came to the same questions, or you came to the same place, in fact, to discover, like, well, none of this is it. So whether it would be a full automated place of nothingness or a not fully automated place of nothingness, it is still a place of nothingness. So that's the interesting thing with, say, being focused on new technology, as we see here. Like the focus on new technology is like, how quickly can we use it? But we forgot one thing then, is why would we? Why would we use it? Like, why would I use that? I can do it, there's nothing wrong with it, but what is the purpose of it if I see this place? Then why would I pick it up? That would be like another toy in the toy store, or thinking that I cannot live without it and define it for me as a necessity. Like it's all, in that sense, it's all whatever you want. But what is it that you want? And why do you want that? And see, it completely is beautiful to see that you can know yourself. If you know yourself, like there's no necessity for survival. There's no necessity for say, tackling incredible problems that you have self-created, and so on. Like, this is a bit what I said before too. But here in this video that we just saw, you see the implementation of something. You see, especially then with AI, is we have to learn the computer first, everything that we know for it to work. So in that sense, it might help to become aware of what am I actually thinking. Like all the things that we accept as normal are difficult to teach a robot. And of course, it's also difficult to teach your kids. You have experienced that too. So, but also, it's like everything that you have taught and you have been taught, what did it actually bring you? So we come back to that all the time. It's like, what did it actually bring you? So it helps you to deal with a situation that you discover now that you don't want to be in, that has nothing to do with reality, that yeah. So this is one way of looking at it, is what I'm sharing. It's like one way to look at it. Now, you can say like, well, these persons are putting all their love and inspiration into it, and it's going to be wild, you know. It's like it's huge, it's humongous, it's incredible to see that, and to see what actually people are considering. Like, beautiful thoughts are related to it, beautiful genius thoughts are actually used here. This, like, the tip top of the human intelligence is invested into making artificial intelligence. And then we go back to, oh yeah, those who are overestimating human intelligence, still seeing it as a necessity to support and change of understanding. Remember this: it's like when you come to the point where a change of understanding becomes, not necessary anymore, you actually enter into a state, or you actually recognize yourself into a being that is eternally creating, in the love that it is, in extension of that light that it is, like being completely itself, in other words, and not formulating problems, no, extending the love that it is, you know, like so yeah, that keeps coming back. That's obvious. And so whatever we look at, however genius that was to come up with an idea of artificial intelligence, now the next part is then, we don't want to overestimate it either, because it is so, in fact, so limited in its perspective that you might not even use it. Like, what is it in comparison with with inspiration? For instance, in art, artificial intelligence is being used a lot. Like, how about inspiration? Like letting an idea come to you and expressing it, using your creativity to come up with that, putting all your love in that. Like, of course, it is also in the design of the ones who make the programs, you could say, for AI. So I don't want to start a discussion about it or anything. It is just great to look at it. You could say it's great to look at it as wow, this is in the human definition of itself. We invent new things all the time to keep ourselves busy with something. Otherwise, imagine that you would stand still and listen and actually discover that you're all the love in the universe. Like, what would be the use of this limited inventing new things all the time in order to do the same thing? Yeah. Okay, so like increasing the level of complexity a little bit with some quantum physics related artificial intelligence. So God is in everything I see, and behind every image I have made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I've drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will united with the will of my Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever. And we who are part of Him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. So bringing this back to here and now, you could say, as like the one question that was mentioned that they didn't answer is this, like, well, can you use this to go into a different dimension? And it's like, no, we don't get that far yet. No, first we're going to do it in three-dimensional definition. You know, first we start to find all kinds of applications in the three-dimensional definition of ourselves before maybe we can use it to enter into a different dimension. But for now we stay with the three dimensions that we have. And see, this is interesting, of course, in seeing what happens to you if you say don't define yourself in this limited perspective. That was the only necessity to enter into a different dimension. So what do? So you use your intelligence to stay in the three dimensions of limitation, disease, disaster, and death, or however, you know, it's like that. And you see how quickly that is skipped, like not a moment of stillness around it, but it's like, no, it is preoccupied. The mind is preoccupied with its own thoughts, with using everything for the continuation of this existence. Like everything is geared toward that until it doesn't. Now, to break open of that, to see that something has happened to you, is an incredible speed up in time. You can see that. It's like this implementation of AI might take 500 years still, and you will come back and come back and come back in order to see it implemented or not. Like, it's up to you. You can follow all that and see how great it is, or you can let it go and see what is already great and doesn't need to be made anymore and can be received in this moment. No problem. It is right here. You know, so that is interesting to see that the human mind will wash over the idea of an escape out of this altogether, because it literally already formulated a problem, and it wants to solve it, and it wants to play. It wants to use all its toys in order to stay in it, not to solve any problem, in fact, not to say allow a real change to occur. So this is what I said, it's kindergarten. It's really like playing in the kindergarten. You pick a toy, you pick a different toy, you pick a more beautiful toy, you pick a toy with lights and sounds, and you do all kinds of things until you're done with the playing. So that is the only moment then that really something can occur. And you see the fascination for development and huge changes and huge whatever investments, and all of this is only being made, in fact, to stay within this limited frame. And with an idea, because like everyone has an idea about perfection, with an idea that things will go by themselves, that we know more about the universe, more and more and more about the universe. Yeah, absolutely. So like there's still a consciousness, like there's still an idea about a perfection and about a communication with the universe and recognizing it for what it is. And so you could say there's an evolutionary process going on, coming to like the perfection of it, coming to a new sphere, as Pierre Teilhard would say. It's like coming to a new sphere, or an say supernatural idea, an omega point where you actually disappear into a fourth dimension of recognition, more than a three-dimensional development. So I always try to find words for this in the sense of the relevance of what you are doing in your spiritual path, like by standing still, by letting go, by not being distracted, by say staying with the program, no matter what happens, by starting to consider the things that are being offered of, yeah, it is different. There is an alternative. I'm going to invite this alternative in. It's like you're open for an experiment, and you don't look for anything outside of you to make you complete, or to give you something that you not already have. So these things are so say fundamental in our transformational, say, development of ourselves, and so beautiful to consciously undergo this in a time where everything seems to be changing and developing in all kinds of directions, but not being fooled by the appearances of separation, conflict, development, intelligence, artificial intelligence, and all of this. And in fact, standing still as a rock in the surf, it's like, okay, let these waves burst on it. The waves of change burst on it. It will not move at all. It will just be right there. It's like, that is my certainty. It has nothing to do with change. It has nothing to do with limitation or temporal ideas. No, it's right here and cannot change any longer. It is the creative principle that I recognize myself to be. So that was, say, the quantum light work so far. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me share this with you in this way. Totally appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much. So I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye for now.